Okay, are you done now? Are you sure about that? Are you 100% sure about that? What do you mean you're not talking to me? Sure sounds like you're talking to me. God damn women. Okay, how's it going, guys? All right, so let's stir the pot. Let's see who we can piss off and who we can't piss off. All right, who's going to agree with me? Who's not going to agree with me? Okay, so I want to do a video here quickly on the whole Celadon bankruptcy thing. Some words are being now put into my mouth. I'm on my own forum and I'm on a couple others, and people are just shoving words in my mouth. Oh, God, all kinds of bull, and I can't even speak properly. Anyway, okay, so let's address some issues. Is Celadon going bankrupt? I have no freaking clue, but probably. What kind of bankruptcy is it? Well, according to the news sources, some of the news clips I've watched, they're filing for bankruptcy protection. What it's supposed to be this upcoming week. It is currently December the 8th. What happens? Nobody knows. Should panic be in the mindset of drivers? No, don't panic. Should you be worried? Yeah, probably, because jobs will probably be lost at some point or another. Should you just up and abandon your equipment and leave and go home? My advice is no. Hold off. I'm not saying that your job is going to be saved by holding off. I'm not going to say that all will magically disappear. There are problems. It is evident. It is obvious. And it's industry-wide now that people know that something's going on with Celadon. What you need to keep in mind is Celadon is a huge company. They're not a small company. They're not an Arrow. They're not a, mom-pop operation. We're talking thousands of drivers. Last I heard, it's 3,500, 4,000 employees, 3,500 drivers, something like that. Could be off on that number by a little bit, but either way, it's still thousands of drivers. There's a lot of people working there. So, what are the chances of them being granted bankruptcy protection? Probably pretty good. That's my guess. Just because too many people will be affected negatively by this. People will be affected negatively no matter what. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Never at any time did I say that it's not going to, or that I didn't believe that it was going to. Some people have been pushing some words in my mouth, and I never even once commented or said it. I have been agreeing that yes, something is coming down the pipe, but no official statement has been made by Celadon. Now let's address one issue. I had a friend of mine who mentioned that some shippers are not loading Celadon trailers. Well, let's look at this in a reasonable manner. Would you as a shipper load a Celadon trailer not knowing that your product is going to get delivered? No, I wouldn't. If I were a shipper, I would not load a Celadon trailer right now, knowing that very well that my product may not get delivered. So, when you arrive at some of the shippers, some of the Celadon drivers that have been sent to shippers to pick up loads, if you get there and they say there's no load for you, well, that's the way it is. There probably is no load for you. Due to the fact that the shipper has probably said, no, we're not loading a Celadon trailer because we don't know if the load's going to get delivered. And that's within reason. So just be patient. It's the weekend. Wait till Monday. Try to make some communication with the company. You're probably not going to get through on the phone. So just do Qualcomm messages. I mean, you could try the phone, but chances are you're probably not going to get through, because I'm pretty sure their phones are going to be inundated with people calling, and they're probably been told don't answer the phone. And that's probably what's happening over the weekend. A lot of people saying, well, they're not answering the phone. Well, if I were a company that was about to declare bankruptcy or bankruptcy protection, and I was the size of Celadon, I would not answer the phone either at this point, because it is out there. The rumor is out there. It could be, it's a true rumor, probably. So rumor is probably not the right word for it. The information is out there, but it is what it is. Okay. Now, in regards to fuel cards, now I haven't looked into it very deeply or anything, but I have heard, now Celadon does use Comdata, and I have heard that Comdata has had issues all weekend. It's not a Celadon thing, possibly, It's a Comdata thing. So maybe Comdata is having issues, and there's more than just Celadon that's affected by this. And I'm sure there's a lot of drivers out there that use Comdata that'll either say, yeah, we've had problems with our fuel this weekend, and I'm maybe not putting 2 plus 2 together here and coming up with 4, and the fact that maybe it's a Comdata problem. But at the same, because somebody was saying, oh well, they turned the cards back on because of all the rumors going around. No, they wouldn't do that if they were in full bankruptcy and shutting the doors completely, which they might be. I'm not saying that they're not. But if they were going to abandon all their drivers and just shut off the fuel cards, they would not turn them back on. So I'm kind of the belief that it might be a Comdata issue. However, and it's sporadic, so, because I know of a couple of drivers that have had no problems with their fuel card and some that have. So it might be dependent on the area of the country that you're in. I don't know. So here's my advice, because there's a lot of bad advice going out there. And people say I'm giving bad advice by saying, people are trying to accuse me of saying that to pretend like there's nothing wrong. I never said that. I'm not even going to entertain that thought of saying there's nothing wrong. Should you be worried? Of course you should be worried. Should you panic? No, don't panic. And I'll give hats off to a lot of companies out there that are posting on social media currently that if drivers are being stranded or left to their own devices to get home, that they will help you. Fantastic. That is fantastic. I mean, there's been enough companies recently that have done this and have left their drivers out there with no means of getting home. So hats off to the companies that are reaching out and willing to help drivers get home, should they be abandoned. Now let's look at the other side of it. What if you're not going to be abandoned? Everyone's jumping the gun saying, oh, we're going to be abandoned. You don't know this. You absolutely don't know this. They're filing for protection, which means if they get the protection, if it's granted, they will most likely have the means to A, get the rest of their freight delivered that needs to be delivered, and B, get their equipment to where it needs to be. Now, here's the downside to this. Depending on where you are, they may try to have you bring the equipment to the nearest terminal, which may be nowhere near where your home terminal is. This is just life. Get ready to buy a bus ticket or a plane ticket. If you are that destitute that you have no money, that you cannot afford a bus ticket or a plane ticket home from wherever you are, then maybe you should not have been in this industry to begin with. It's that simple. And people may hate me for it, may call me all kinds of names for saying this, but it's true. If you are that destitute that you do not have 2 cents to rub together that you can afford a bus ticket home from wherever you are in the country, then you should not be in trucking, because this is trucking. You could be stranded anywhere, both in Canada, US, wherever. You need to be able to have the means to get yourself home, one way or the other. Rent a car, But with that being said, I would wait and give the company a chance to see what they're going to do. They could very well get you home. They could get you to terminal, and they could get bus tickets and bus people back to where they're supposed to be. They are a huge company. Some people say, well, they're a company of crooks. Well, that's not for me to say. I was never treated badly by them when I worked there. I was treated nothing but well. There were days I didn't agree with them, but at the same token, I was not treated poorly by them. As a matter of fact, I was treated quite well. In a lot of instances, I had an emergency, just to bring up an example, and they flew me in and out, right from where I was. No issues, no questions asked, whatever. Now, that was a different time, and the situation is different. But I'd like to have a little faith in thinking that they will do right by their drivers, or try to, and you as drivers need to be patient in that sense. I understand it's kind of a panic mode, but come on, let's just relax a little bit. Let's wait and see what happens. Are you probably going to have to look for a new job? There's a good chance you will. There's a lot of companies already out there saying, hey, they will take Celadon drivers. It's a shitty time of year for this to be happening. No doubt about it. But abandoning your vehicle and your freight where you sit right now is wrong. Do not, this is my advice, you guys can do whatever you're going to do. That's entirely on you. But I don't suggest you drive that truck to your house. Do not drive that truck with that freight to your house whatsoever. Now, if you're on the way and there's a terminal nearby and you're that worried, hit the terminal. Park it at a terminal and then go home. That's my advice. Don't just leave it where it is. If you have the fuel to get to a terminal and your fuel card works and you can fill up at a designated spot, because we know that's how Celadon works, you can only fuel in certain places, do so if it lets you. And if you can get to a terminal that's on your route to where you're going or within reasonable proximity of, bring it to a terminal and say, hey, you know what? No, I can't do this anymore. Here you go. Here's your truck. Here's your freight. There you go. Don't just leave it sitting in the middle of a truck stop or a highway or wherever, Don't bring it to your house. Oh my gosh, don't bring it to your house. I can see bad things happening with that. I can't say for certain. The laws are different in the U.S. I'm pretty sure you can get charged with something. They charge everybody with something down there and in Canada, everywhere. You do something stupid, you're getting charged. So, don't bring it home. Whatever you do not bring the truck home. Unless you're an owner-op, obviously, or a lease-op. Lease-op, I don't know. I think you could have some kind of grounds as to say, hey, man, I've been paying for the truck. You've got proof of payments. I'm sure the banks or whoever are going to step in and say, okay, well, you can keep the truck, but we're going to have to refinance you or whatever. That may happen. I don't know. That's in the future. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about the inevitable, what's going to happen next week, possible bankruptcy. I think it's going to be the bankruptcy protection, which is what I'm hearing in the news story. I won't say pretty sure. I'm pretty confident they're going to get the protection. I'm pretty confident they are going to do their best to get you home. Communication with them right now is probably at a 0, just because they've probably been told don't answer the phones or whatever. I wouldn't go from the rumor mill what a friend heard from a friend who heard from a friend who heard from a friend. I wouldn't go with that. Even if that friend is a Celadon driver who says, hey, I've been trying to call and I can't get a hold of anyone. What's the reason you're calling? Is it business related? Or is it because you're worried about them going bankrupt? I'm sure they've been told don't answer the phones. So send a Qualcomm message. You may get answered, you may not get answered. Make sure that maybe that question needs to be business related. If it's about your load, should I be delivering my load? Do I need to continue on? Do I need to go to terminal? Whatever. You can ask. Go for it. You might get a response. You might not. I would say carry on as usual. If your fuel card's working, you're getting fuel in your truck, fuel it up. And here's the main advice I'm going to give you. The 2 decisions you should make is A, continue on with your load to its delivery point, because I'm sure that customer wants their freight. And it would be the responsible thing for you to do as a human being. Get that there. And then worry about where you're going to go after that. But I'm pretty sure you're not going to have to worry. Or option B is get to the nearest terminal. As long as it's within route, reasonable, you're not going to have to travel, 2,000 miles out of route to get to a terminal, which is not going to happen anyways. They got terminals scattered all over the damn place. If you're that worried and that scared that things are going to go to the shits, take it to terminal. At least then they have the freight, they have the truck, they have the equipment. It's out of your hands. You can say, hey, you're taking responsibility for it. There you go. It's on your property. You deal with it. And that way the customer freight is still safe. You don't want to screw the customer. That customer you may have to deal with again for whatever company you go with. You may have to deal with that customer again. Not that they'd know you were a Celadon employee or anything like that, but still, subconsciously, I would feel guilty personally by not doing it. So me personally, as I was a lease op the last year with Celadon, I would just sit on it and wait, make my delivery, or head to the terminal. Either or. As a lease op, I would just head home. Obviously, as a lease op or an owner op, you're going to have money. You have the resources to fuel up your truck on your own, whether it be by credit card, cash, whatever, and get home. then worry about the truck afterwards and what's going to happen with the bank. Approach the leasing company, whatever. Say, hey, listen, I want to keep my truck, man. I want to keep working. There's lots of companies that'll hire you, I'm sure of it. So anyway, so there's lots of things you can do. One thing I don't advise you to do is to just up and leave your equipment where it is. I know it's a scary time and a scary situation, but just have some faith. Good things may come of it. But anyway, that's it. Hopefully this won't be taken out of context and thrown into the shitter and people be pissing on me and taking this wrong. This was meant as a good thing. Hopefully it'll help somebody out. Until next time. Later, taters.